Boom! There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I know this show is a lot about going after wealth, but if you don't have your health in line, nothing ever works out. The only thing a sick person wants is to be healthy. And today's guest is going to help us learn all about being healthy. So let's do this. Let's get this one on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Are you struggling to stay fit and healthy as you get older? Are you looking for expert advice on how to cheat the aging process? Well, look no further. Today's guest is an experienced personal trainer and gym owner who specializes in fitness hacks and trends for men and women over 40. Whether you're noticing that you have to do more to stay in shape or slightly less, our guest has the tips and tricks you need to reach your fitness goals. So let's welcome to the show the one and only Mr. Brad Williams. All right, Brad, the party has begun. Fitness over 40, dude. I know you can't tell because, I have a beautiful lock of hair and not a single wrinkle on me. But I just crossed the 40 threshold, man. And I'm one of the extreme people when it comes to staying fit. Like I was up at 4:20 this morning, got my incline in, decline push-up stuff. Incline and decline on the bench. I did about 60 pull-ups, and then I went on a 6-mile run. And that's like pretty much a routine for me when I do 5 days a week. But that's unique. People my age are not doing that sort of stuff. Tell me, man, you're in this space. How'd you get here? And what's it like as we get older? Why are people not staying in shape as they age?
Yeah. Oh man, that just opened up Pandora's box right there. And Hernan, this is I wanted to come on here because this is more for you. Turning over 40. Born and raised here in Central California, moved down to Long Beach State and got my business major, and always wanted to be an entrepreneur, follow my uncle's footsteps. That's kind of who I looked up to as a business mentor. And, through all these different various jobs, I found out, I always was into fitness. My dad was a doctor, mom was a nurse. So just kind of had that healthy upbringing. And later in life, I just kept with it and was doing sports and just loved helping other people and coaching. And, my brother and I were like, okay, well, if we're looking for something to do, why don't you this is like your number one passion. Why don't we just go for it? And so we had enough money from both of our jobs at the time. And we opened up our first gym in Huntington Beach, California, right here in Orange County. And for the last 14 years, man, it's been a whirlwind of entrepreneurship, dealing with business in California, which is not the easiest. And especially being in a mecca of like health and wellness, fitness. I'm sure there's other cities around the world like New York and Miami and all that kind of stuff. They probably have similar problems. But man, it's been just a ride. But, I always tell people like you go to school and everything, but you can't learn what in school, what you learn here out in the field, out in the open. So it's you just got to experience it. You can prep yourself all you want.
Real life is going to slap you in the face when you least expect it. I like that. I'm going to start off with that comparison because I got a lot of kids here who are about to graduate high school. And let's be honest, man, I didn't know what I was going to do right when I graduated. I had to kind of figure it out as I went along. You're talking about going to school, getting a degree, but then also going into practice and learning from real life. It's kind of a different kind of degree, right? It's more like a patch or a scar that you wear after you go into it in real life. What's the difference between the book world and the real life world?
Well, I kind of think like, at least for marketing for whatever business you're doing, like whatever you learn in school, like all these cases of stuff that was 10, 15, 20 years ago, even within the last 5 years, stuff changes so much, man. Even in like every quarter, something's different. But and you just don't know unless you're in it. So, it's good practice in school, but when you come out, you have to have an open mind, and everything you learn in school, it's just different. So as long as you have that passion and thirst for, marketing, learning new stuff and seeing what everyone's doing and, and just getting to the top. Everything's all about, lateral movements. If something's not working, you cannot just stick to the plan. You got to lateral and move somewhere else and try something different. So that's kind of, what I've did the last 14 years, and I've lateraled so many times, man. I'm, just my head spins thinking about it.
All right, well, let's modify to death, man, because that's really what it comes down to. I titled today's episode Fitness Hacks for Men and Women Over 40, right? And a lot of it has to do with almost exactly what you're describing. Even though it's talking about business, that's kind of how I feel physical activity has to be for people as we age. We have to modify and adapt. There's no way I was gonna be doing what I was working out at when I was like 19 or 20 that I'd be doing today. It's completely different. I might have more intensity, maybe a lot more reps or whatever, but I ain't trying to hit 300 pounds on a bench press or nothing. I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is helping me be more flexible, helping me have more energy at the end of the day and not get hurt. I don't want to be one of those older guys that's walking around with like bum knees and a hurt back because I did it to myself. So what are some things that people can do as they get a little bit older? Maybe some common mistakes that people have as they reach that age of, midlife crisis, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I just picked the number over 40. That's kind of where I started falling apart and seeing how hard it was. And, my niche has always been the over 40 crowd in all my gyms. And, one of the biggest things I'd see all the time is that's why they're coming to me. We just can't get this last little bit off, or I'm trying so hard. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And, as the young personal trainer, you need to diet better. You need to work out harder, do different stuff, shock the body, which is all true. But lo and behold, when I started my podcast, I turned 40, and that's about the time I started seeing the difference. Like, oh my God, it's like I put on an extra 8 pounds more than normal. I'm working out more. I'm dieting more hardcore. I'm spending more money on supplements. And it's like, I still can't get to back where I was in, my late 20s, early 30s. It's like, holy crap, these guys were right that we're over 40. It's just the body is the aging process, man. It's, our bodies switch gears to survival mode, and your body wants to hold on to fat because it's just such an efficient energy source, and it protects your organs. And then, lean muscle just goes out the door. So, our culture basically, besides all the benefits that come with it and being functionally fit and the endorphins of working out, we've made it kind of culturally, aesthetics too. We want to look good and feel good at the same time. So, with my personal trainer mindset, I refuse to give up. Last 14 years of my life has been dedicated to this, and now I'm hitting a little snag in the game plan here. But I've had to find different methods and tips to kind of keep the body I want, keep the functional side going, and the athletic side that I want. And still, my whole stick is, and still not give up your social life. I refuse. I like partying on weekends. I like having fun with my friends and family, and I'm not going to give it up. I am not a bodybuilder trying to compete.
Dude, I like that you said that, because I'll be honest, man, like when the weekend comes, I want to be able to eat what I want, do what I want, when I want, how I want. And that's one of the main reasons why I started really myself working out as much as I did, because I felt if I put in the hours, I could spend the I don't know, the workout currency, I guess, on whatever I wanted. I could continue to make great eating decisions, or I can make bad ones, and it's okay because I'm using that energy up anyways. Let me ask you about nutrition, because at the end of the day, one of my biggest fears was becoming diabetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had my grandparents where I watched them kind of deteriorate, become diabetic, get a little cut on their toe or something, and it becomes really infectious. They have a hard time healing. I've seen a lot of family members that have diabetes that are just tired all the time. They're drained, and I did not want to go that route. However, am I doing a bad thing here by working out and still eating all the bad stuff that I shouldn't be eating, even though I'm putting in all the physical work?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of risk reward. And, my kind of thing is, Monday through Friday, I go as clean as possible. Those are my work days anyways. And that's my system. And then on the weekends, let it all go out, because it's also good to kind of shock the diet and shock your body with just, eating some bad food on the weekends. But, one of the biggest things is obviously, unless you're getting paid to be $1 million athlete and all that kind of stuff, and being at that high athletic level, then if you're not, what's the point of keeping that athletic prowess going? You can tone it down a little bit, but basically, cutting carbs a little bit, obviously all the processed stuff as much as you can, or pick a time window like I do, Monday through Friday, go clean. And just in my opinion, lower carbs for people over 40 is just the way to go. Not necessarily needing all that glycogen and sugar in your body to build a pump more weight or run faster. What's the point? Because of things start slowing down. People start having issues with diabetes and other diseases that are all kind of contributed to high sugar intake, and mostly like processed sugar. So that's a good one. But one of the biggest things that I've learned and discovered was the whole concept of intermittent fasting. There's so much info out there and all that, but just the real simple thing that anyone can just start is pick an eating window. Doesn't even matter how many hours it is, but whatever you say is breakfast to dinner, that is your eating window from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. when you have dinner, and stick to it. And then eat like a king in the morning, eat like a prince in the for lunchtime, and eat like a pauper at dinner time. That's just so good. No matter what style diet you have, it works. And then whatever you said for your eating window, do not go past that time. You want your body to have time to process this stuff. And I never knew how important that theory was until having issues being over 40, and then just a simple switch like that, and oh my God, I'm starting to get the gains back. I'm starting to lean back down, and I've always hit my protein that I need and pretty much my calories, but your body is just fighting against you. I know it's not fair, but you got to work smarter, not harder. So you got to get your game hat on. Can't hear you, Hernan.
Of course, because it says your mic is muted. The intermittent fasting really worked well for me. Is when I first started getting back into working out even harder. But I get a lot of flack because I wouldn't eat breakfast. I'd maybe eat like one big meal during the day, and then honestly I would eat when I was hungry, not because it was breakfast, not because it was lunch, not because it was dinner. Although growing up, we were traditionally like trained, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You should have a lunch. And then he started talking about small proportions throughout the day. And for me, I just found that, honestly, most of the time when I'm eating because I'm bored, because there's nothing else to do. So I go to the fridge and I find something and I'll munch and just like open a bag of chips or whatever, and I'll munch when it's not really hunger. And I had to tell myself in my own mind, like one of the tricks I did personally was I switched to just water. And whenever I got really hungry, I would chug a big old glass of water first. And then if I was still hungry after that, then maybe I would go look for something. And then I tried to go a little bit healthier. But the water made a huge difference. Two reasons. One, I wasn't drinking my sugar anymore. I wasn't having the soda and all the other stuff that was going down. But two, it literally put something in your body where you didn't have to think about like that empty feeling. You actually had something going in, even if it was just water for that moment, to take away from the boredom of you going in and eating something bad. So what are some of the most effective ways that maybe we can add some nutrition value? Maybe we can add some little hacks in our day. We already said intermittent fasting, but that way people are kind of taking advantage of that, I don't know, maybe that 12-hour window that they're awake during the day, but not eating throughout that entire time either.
Yeah. So one of the best ways, like you said, is, let's just start with, curbing that hunger response. Drinking, like first thing I do in the morning is drink while I turn my coffee pot on, and I wait to have my coffee, let my body naturally wake up, is I'll drink 20 ounces of water like I would a beer, just shotgun the thing right down. I mean, that's more water than, half Americans even get per day. And so do the same thing, like you said, before meals. Doesn't need to be 20 ounces, but have a full glass of water, like complete it before you start. And then other methods work, go for the vegetables first, then your protein. And if you are eating carbs, use that last. And I promise you'll be sitting there trying to throw this in and probably pass on the rest of it, which is most of the time a good thing. Another trick that works is, you hear people talking about apple cider vinegar and all the alkalizing benefits that it has for your body. And it does. I take apple cider vinegar in the morning before I have my first meal with a little bit of black pepper, cayenne pepper, and some lemon juice. And just kind of alkalizes your body, but it also helps with digestion. But the other way I use it is at nighttime. If I am having problems with hunger, because I recently pulled my fasting schedule from 3 to 8 p.m. down, because it is better to, get your body started in the morning if you can. If you don't want to, don't, but it just gives you that extra little edge. But then at 5 p.m. when I'm supposed to be done for the rest of the night, I don't go to bed till midnight. So that I start getting, you're at home, you're staring at that fridge, and my kid, my wife are all doing their stuff. I'm like, bam, apple cider vinegar, that will kill your hunger 2 seconds. It's so just another trick if you need it.
Oh, I'm sure it tastes delicious too. Yeah.
It's a stinger for sure.
All right. Okay. So let's say we're getting our meals under control. Sometimes we suffer from, what do they call it? The itis. I saw that on Boondocks the other day, right? The itis. You have that meal and then you're like ready to go to sleep. You're ready to take a nap. But that's not always the most effective thing that somebody could do. Now, I always kind of get embarrassed when I talk about my workout because it is extreme. And when I mention what I do, I feel like it deflates people from what they can or should be doing themselves. So what are some of the most effective exercises that people that reach age of 40, or maybe just people who haven't worked out in some time and they want to get back into it, and they see all these like Arnold Schwarzenegger people working out like crazy and they know they're not going to be there? Where do they start? What are some of the things they can do just to get themselves in the habit of getting physical before we actually start increasing or making that workout a little bit more intense? Where can they begin?
Yeah. I think one of the best spots is going on like Groupon and just seeing what's available in your local area and try everything. Because one of the things I've discovered over 40 is, my style has always been, weightlifting circuit training. So it's like heavy lifting for 10 to 15 reps in circuits. And then I'll blend it with, low pace cardio, just more to give your body a break so you can start lifting heavy again. And that's worked great. But one of the things I've noticed is, I'm missing out on some of the other modalities out there, Pilates for elongating the muscles, and, yoga with breathing and stretching. And then one of the biggest ones I've recently discovered is, doing HIIT or all out theory, where you're just going all out for a certain amount of time, getting your break, and usually you use less weight. But the trick with that one is, especially over 40, is that our body starts, we're slowing down, we're older, we have kids, we're, hitting that couch a little bit more than usual, or maybe we have some injuries that have slowed us down. And your body will start reducing the amount of mitochondria in your cells. So those are the powerhouses that you have in all your cells. And you can train it to adapt to like, oh crap, everything works off stressors. So, you stress your body doing heavy lifting, you start growing bigger muscle. You grow bigger muscle, it'll help burn more fat. But that mitochondria trick is, if you get your body in a prime rate of burning fat because you have all this muscle, maybe you're doing intermittent fasting, so you're burning fat during your fasting schedule a little bit more efficiently than normal. If you have more mitochondria, it'll do it faster and better. And that's one of the things that I started seeing in my clients and even myself, that I wasn't doing this HIIT training, at least once a week to build this back up. Because I've noticed I'm 42 now, and man, I've just my whole schedule, I've slowed down. And I started doing that training tips of 30 seconds on all out, 30 seconds break. And you just see how many sets you can go. And I quickly saw like, oh man, I am not in shape for this. This tells you everything. And in the last 6 weeks that I've done this, oh my God, I feel like a new man. So it's totally true.
Yeah, I like changing the rep style for sure. Definitely helps. There's some times where like I have the pull-up bar, and so like on Fridays it's wide pull-ups. And if for those of you who do pull-ups, wide pull-ups suck, man. They're like the hardest for me anyways. Doing
no, they're terrible for everybody.
Right. But I'm to the point now where like I'll start my rep and I'll just go as many as I possibly can without any assistance. No chair, no lift, nothing, right? And I'm to the point now where I can do like 4 sets where I get to like 9 or 10 on each set before I like can't pull up anymore, which is huge. Because when I first started, everything was with a little bit of help. Had the chair out helping me get there. But those max reps, even though they're not a ton of reps, they're just maxing out at what you can do, or minimize the weight and increase the number of reps. Both of those give me, I feel like, much more flexibility. And then I can also track and measure that stuff. For me, being able to, like, I write down my reps and I can see my progression every single day as I'm improving, helps me stay motivated to come out and be like, okay, I'm going to beat what I did last week, or I'm going to beat what I did the last time I did this particular workout. How do you get people our age to stay motivated to want to continue to exercise? Because I feel like we cop out to motivation like we're supposed to have it every time we wake up or we're going to work out, like we're supposed to be motivated to work out. When for me personally, that's not the case. I don't ever feel like working out. I love the way I feel after, but I never feel like doing it. How do you get your clients to just continue to do it, even or get that motivation to do it at least for the first 2 weeks when it's really going to suck?
Yeah. No, that's kind of why you even hire a personal trainer in the first place. We're more of accountability and motivational coaches than anything. After a while, my clients know everything I know, which is my job to get them educated to my level. And then it's just, there's a reason why they keep coming back. They need the push. Shoot, even trainers need trainers. A lot of us trainers have other gyms we go to just to get out of there, because that's for us, that's our work spot. We need our own community and our own push and own coaches and instructors just for the same reasons. And I think for, that's like one of the biggest things too, over 40, it's time. You don't have time to think of what to do and all that. It's so much, easier to go to a class or a trainer or a coach and just know that it's already taken care of. You just got to show up. And for people who don't, have all the money in the world and they got to kind of do it themselves, then you need to start immersing yourself in fitness. Like go on podcasts, go on YouTube videos, just find people that you vibe with. That'll help you stay engaged, stay on your fitness journey, and stay motivated. So as soon as you kind of give up and stop listening or going with your friend to classes and all that kind of stuff, that's the downward spiral of you kind of falling apart. So you got to keep that mental engagement, helps keep your accountability and motivation levels up. And it's so huge because, over 40, we just, like I said, start slowing down, start getting more tired. You have less mitochondria, which we just talked about. So you need to take care of these things unless you want to be, that 70-year-old hunchback that's barely walking and, that the slow mental side. So, you got to think of the long game.
No, man, I got this goal on my board. So I've been running 6 miles a day for like 4 or 5 days a week. And I've been doing that for a couple of years. And I thought, you know what, if I can do this for my entire 40s and then drop it down to 5 miles a day in my 50s and then drop it down to 4 miles a day in my 60s, I was like, I could see myself being 90 years old doing a mile a day still. Like getting it down, dude. And for me, that's the idea. The idea is to not be old and decrepit, but be mobile, still have the agility that, maybe not the way you did when you're in your 20s, but still be able to walk and go get your mail, walk to, whatever it is you need to do without being that little hunched over, which reminds me, I got bad posture. I got to sit up straight. But all right, well, let's talk about the recovery side of it, right? So I know people my age are like, damn, I don't want to end up like my parents. I want to start working out. They hit the gym a couple days, and then everything hurts, right? Your knees hurt, your back hurts, your brain hurts even thinking about going to the gym. So what can we do as like a recovery plan so that we can still maintain the fitness activity, still want to move forward, still progress, but kind of still deal with that, the hurt part of when you're first getting started?
Yeah. Well, first, over 40 sleep is just so important. So if you're having problems with sleep, you need to attack that first and foremost. Stress, whether it's emotional, you have an injury, physical, or your work sucks. I've had clients that were so stressed out at work, we can never get them that last little bit. And all of a sudden they finally quit their job, went somewhere else and lost 7 pounds in like 1 week. Unreal how much stress matters. And it's the cortisol hormone that's so catabolic to your muscles and preventing you from getting to your fitness goals and what you want. Another thing too is, as we age and your joints get tired and, we have the bad knees and the bad hips, which, you can prolong as long as you can. It's just stuff happens. It's aging is aging. We're not going to win. We are going to lose. All you can say is that, I look better than all the other 42-year-olds around there. That's what I tell my clients. But another concept that might be good to add to your program, instead of just destroying your body, 5 days a week, take the breaks or just make them movement days, like go on walks, go do stretching, go do physical therapy type exercises, or give up one of your hard lifting days. If you're doing like 4 of them, give up one of them and do a more of a time under tension approach. So do the same workout you were going to do, way less weight, and slow it down to like 5 to 8 seconds. Like if you're doing a squat, 5 or 8 seconds down, focus, 5 to 8 seconds up. You'll end up doing like 5 or 6 reps and you'll be so gassed. But it's just more quality. You're recruiting more muscle fibers while you do it. It's just a more efficient workout. It just gives your body a break, but you still got to work out. So those are kind of like some of the tips to, preventing for those things. I mean, when you're first starting out, you're gonna get the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, no matter what. So just for those people, it's just your first month, just take it slow. Do not go all out. Just get used to the pace and the workouts, and eventually that kind of goes away. But then the other stuff we talked about is just to prevent injury and to prevent any setbacks. So don't be afraid to slow it down. Your body will recover. It will build muscle. I mean, if you're into the bodybuilding space, more power to you. But I'm more about helping the over 40 crowd just get that athletic, fit, functional body that they want. This, more the norm than the magazines.
No, I feel you, man. But me personally, I'm like now at the point where I was like, okay, if I could get just really ripped just to see it for a little while, just right before I get super old, I want to see that for sure. So, all right, let's talk about the pain points. Right there, the little pooch right in front of your button on your pants. That's the hardest part right there, right? That's the hardest part to get rid of for a lot of people. So let's finish our time here. What are some exercises, some things that we can do so we can focus our attention right in that spot, that sweet spot that everybody looks down and says, yeah, I need to work out.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, that's the unfair part as well. The guys seem to pull it right there in the pooch. Girls will do a little bit there and kind of go back to the hips and buttocks, but you can't spot reduce for any type of workout. So, even getting down to almost single digit body fat, your whole body will look great. And then you got that little pooch still, because that's the last little bit. So, one is you can, build muscle that helps kind of stretch out everything, stretch those fat cells out, stretch the skin out, and it looks good. It'll help, pull that down as well. But I mean, it's just, you gotta, start working on the diet and just honing in on that if you want to get that last little bit. So, I always try to set expectations with clients, what's more important, party lifestyle or getting that last little spot. So, you gotta have to set expectations there.
You were supposed to give me that little magic pill, man.
I do have one. It's called surgery. Go suck it out. If it's that important to you, suck it out. It's what all the celebrities do. You don't think how many of them, what's funny is like all the surgeries they show, like statistically here in just Orange County, and then how many of them are there? And then you're like, where are these people? It's because no one wants to talk about it.
No, you're right though, man. Andrew Tate, who's not been in the media lately, but I like one of the answers he gave when they asked him, like, what's the secret or the fast way to get a six pack? And he's like, there is no fast way to get a six pack. It requires work. That's why people like looking at a six pack and they're like, damn, that took a lot of work, because that's really what it takes. And like your answer is basically the same thing, man. Like there is no secret sauce. You want to get rid of the pooch, you got to get rid of pretty much everything else. That requires your diet. It requires the exercise, and most importantly, it requires it consistency on a regular basis. Man, Brad, before we head out, man, if you've shared so much stuff, if people want to reach out with you, they're like, yo, I'm 40. I know it's about time. I need somebody who just speaks my language, and they want to reach out and talk to you. How can they do that?
Yeah, so the best ways are my podcast, Over 40 Fitness Hacks, and that's 40, not spelled out. And then my Twitter is at Over 40 Fit Hacks, 40 as well. And then my website, over40fitnesshacks.com. And then I have a contact form, blogs, easiest way to contact me.
Let me ask you, dude, what's it been like having a podcast for you? For me personally, I'm going on 5 years here in July. You're episode 1142. I've interviewed over 1,000 entrepreneurs. It's been one of the greatest prospecting tools and learning tools I've ever come across. What's been your experience like in podcasting?
Same thing. I've been doing it for 3 years and more hardcore for the last 2 years. And just the ability to get out of my little Orange County bubble here and talking to health and wellness professionals across the globe, talking to people in England, Australia, China, it's just everyone has different tips and tricks and different styles and, modalities. And it's just, oh my God, it's just like going back to, you can't learn everything in school. I can't learn everything here in Orange County either. You got to expand your horizons and go. So I was like, this is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done is podcasting. And I don't see myself ever quitting either. This is more for my health too. My goal is to, make it to 130, 150 one day, because it seems like humans are getting more capable of that. And, if you stay in the game long enough, it'll happen. So, if you have another 100 years from now, you might be able to get that 6-pack. So just, you got to stay alive longer. That's all.
I don't know, 100 years, man, maybe 100 days. I got summer right around the corner, baby. I got to look good for that. I got Vegas coming up. No, all right. Well, Brad, thank you very much for coming on the show, man. You are an experienced podcaster. And so I got one last selfish question. What was your experience like on the Business Bros?
Oh, it's awesome. Your whole setup, the way you can schedule yourself, reschedule yourself, all the links and emails. And I got a text this morning just to keep me on point. It's just, your style of how you're doing everything. It's just streamlined so beautifully. I love it.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, look, fitness is for everybody. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. You need to stay in shape. But if you find yourself in that 40 section, life's changing, midlife crisis, you finally decide you want to make a choice, make sure you check out what Brad's got to offer. He's literally helping people like us. And yes, I said us, right? 40 plus crowd to stay in shape, to get ourselves in a position where we feel good. We got the energy that we need. And again, you don't need to have that 6-pack, the beautiful chest, nice abs, all that stuff, but to have the energy so you can keep going every day, that is where it's at. So make sure you guys check it out, over40fitnesshacks.com, over40fitnesshacks.com. That's the number 40 in that URL. Brad, thank you very much for coming on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz